Many Christians keep Sunday as their day of worship and rest. Jews keep Saturday, and Muslims keep Friday. And all of these different religions claim Abraham as their father and the eternal as their God. But which day is correct? Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? Which day is correct, and why does it matter? We will answer that burning question today on the Elijah Message podcast. I'm your host, Jeremiah Ridley. Genesis chapter 1:1. Let's go ahead and turn to the book of Genesis and see what the biblical model is from the very beginning. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 tells us that in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, dropping down to verse 5, we read that God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So far, so good, nothing out of the ordinary. But notice the next part of verse 5. It says, "And the evening and the morning were the first day." Now, that may be surprising to some of us that the day would begin with the going down of the sun at evening, but that is the biblical model. According to God's calendar, a day begins with the evening and ends with the next evening. Now, this is very different to the common calculation that a day ends and another one begins at midnight. But this is the very foundation of God's calendar, and that the way that the time is reckoned from God's perspective. In the next several verses, we will see the unfolding of God's creation, until we get to verses 26 through 31, and we see the creation of mankind, along with the beasts of the earth and the creeping things, on the sixth day. Then something happens in the first few verses of Genesis chapter 2. It reads with verse 1, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them, and on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made." Now, God himself rested on the seventh day, and he, that is God, set it apart as a special and blessed day. Now, if God himself set this day apart, don't you think it is important for us to know what day it is and for us to follow God's example? God, the God of heaven and earth, the God of all creation, the God set apart the seventh day, himself set apart the seventh day as the day of rest. Now, when God gave the Ten Commandments to the children of Israel, he had a lot to say about the seventh day, or the Sabbath day. We read in Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11, God says, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor the cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." So we see a reminder, even when he was giving these 10 commandments to the children of Israel, that God himself rested on the Sabbath day, on the seventh day, and rendered it holy. That is sanctified. That is set apart and special. Now, I didn't see anything there particularly about one particular people keeping this day and others keeping whatever else day they want. The Sabbath day is universal and an eternal principle of God for all of mankind. Leviticus chapter 23, verses 1 through 3 says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. Now he continues saying, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Notice that this is not the Sabbath of the Israelites or the Jews only. The Sabbath is the Sabbath of God Himself. So this was to be a universal and an eternal principle for all people, because these are the days of the Lord. The Sabbath in particular is a day of the Lord that He has given to all of mankind. The Sabbath of God. Everyone, that is everyone, even Christians, are supposed to keep the one Sabbath day as a day of rest and a day of worship. The one Sabbath day is set apart to God out of 7, no other day. Now we're going to jump on over to Exodus chapter 31, and we'll read verses 12 through 17 and see what this has to say. Beginning at verse 12, in Exodus chapter 31, we read, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Eternal, and doth sanctify you. You shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul or that person shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the 7th is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Eternal. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe it throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Eternal made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day He rested and was refreshed. So we see that the Sabbath is a sign, a mark, a flag that draws attention to the fact that those who keep the Sabbath belong to God. The Sabbath was never changed. Jesus and the apostles themselves kept the Sabbath as well as all the early church. But what day is the Sabbath? Despite which you may have been told, the Sabbath has not been lost. Indeed, the Jews, as Romans chapter 3 verse 2 tells us, they were given the oracles of God. The Jews have maintained this true day all the way to the present. And that is Friday night from sundown as the biblical model of a day, Friday night from sundown until Saturday night at sundown. In a word, Saturday is the true 7th-day Sabbath established by God, from Friday at sundown until Saturday at sundown. And if you are in America and have a calendar, look at the 7th day on your calendar. It is indeed Saturday. Now, the Europeans have changed their calendars, and they have wrongly placed Sunday as the 7th day. But if we look at for some of the names for Sabbath in European languages, the truth comes out. We can look at Latin. They have the word sabbatum. Spanish has the word sábado. Italian has the word sabato. Greek has the word sabato. Russian has subota. Polish has sobota. French has samedi. And there are many, many other examples. So within these languages that I have quoted here, we see the remnants of the true Sabbath day. That is the true 7th day, which is what we commonly call Saturday in English. So it should be painfully clear to us what day is the Sabbath of God. And despite crafty arguments to the contrary, God wants us to observe His Sabbath in the way that He Himself observed it. The Sabbath is a day of rest and a day of worship. No other day of the week is acceptable to God except the yearly holy days. We'll talk about these next week. But the true Sabbath of God, the true seventh day of God, is one of the non negotiables of the Ten Commandments. Indeed, it is the fourth commandment. Honor the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. No other day will do, not even Sunday, which is the first day of the week. The true Sabbath is the seventh day of the week, what we commonly call Saturday. So if you're currently worshiping God every Sunday or some other day, then I invite you to get right with God and to begin your Sabbath walk by keeping the day that God Himself kept as the Sabbath. This has been the Elijah Message Podcast with Jeremiah Ridley. Next week, we'll talk about the holy days of God. Thank you so very much, and may God bless America.